Hi, this is Michael, and this is my follow-up video of the RSL 10SMKII subwoofer. I have been using the subwoofer now for probably about 5 or 6 weeks, and I absolutely love this speaker. Now, this is in my large room here. It's about 25 feet by 25 feet with a very tall cathedral ceiling, as you can see here. And I do not have an ideal environment, quite honestly, for a 7.1 system. But it is what it is. We just purchased this house about 6 months ago, and this was already installed. So anyway, this is what I've got to deal with, and I did need a subwoofer because there was no subwoofer in place here. So all the speakers that are currently in place other than the RSL subwoofer are contractor grade speakers, and they're not the best. I have good news about that though. I hope to be reviewing some RSL speakers, in-wall speakers soon, but keep an eye out for that. But right now I want to focus on the subwoofer, the 10SMKII, and I want to show you a little more detail and just discuss its operation. So first of all, just want to make clear, I am not a professional audio engineer. I'm basically your run-of-the-mill end user, and all I can tell you is this speaker is fantastic in my system. I use it for listening to music. I also listen to it when I'm using my 7.1 surround sound. But most of the time I'm using it for listening to music, and I'm just using 2-channel stereo even when I listen to TV a lot of the times. So this is a ported speaker, and you can see the port right down here. This is not a sealed enclosure, and you know, there's a lot of discussion about what is better, a ported speaker or whatever. Now again, I'm not an acoustic engineer, so I can't get into all the specifics, and I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about it. So basically internally here, they use something called compression guide technology, and they tune the speaker with this port down here. Now this is carefully designed. I mean, it's not just a skinny slot that they randomly came up with. They use whatever they use to come up with a specific design for this. Every little thing matters when you're dealing with acoustics. So inside here, you're also going to find a 400 watt RMS amplifier. They've increased the power from the original 10S, and this is a more powerful amplifier. Now, they say that it is very conservatively rated at 400 RMS. It also uses DSP, so it gives you 2 different sound modes in this. And if you're in the one sound mode, it's going to give you down to 20 hertz. And if you use the other sound mode, that is actually, when you're watching movies, it's even going to extend the bass even a little bit lower. So that is pretty amazing. Keep in mind, we're talking about a 10-inch subwoofer here, and this compares favorably to many 12-inch or even larger subwoofers. It's very accurate. I don't notice any distortion, and really, when this is set up properly, you shouldn't even really know where the bass is coming from. You shouldn't be able to say, oh yeah, that subwoofer is behind the chair over there because I can hear it. It just sort of provides the bass, and it envelops the room, and it's just fantastic. So here's the back panel. This is where your AC power cord is going to go in. This is a switch where you can, if you need to change this to 220 volts, then you do need to put a fuse in here. Otherwise, you don't have to do anything. If you're in the US, you just leave it at 110, and they do have a protective cover over that so it doesn't accidentally get switched. Here's your main power on switch. They do have a grounding lug here, and so if you're getting a hum in your system, you may need to use that. Otherwise, you probably won't have to. Now, there's a lot of ways you can connect to the speaker. You can do it wirelessly, and this is the wireless system. It's the receiver for the wireless is built into the speaker already, but this is a separate module that you have to buy. And if you reference my previous video, you can find out about how this pairs to the speaker, but it's very, very easy. My biggest complaint with this is it uses a mini plug to connect rather than RCA to RCA, and I did have this giving me some buzzes and humming, and where it is in my room, it was constantly getting bumped and nudged. So I stopped using the wireless. It will work for you, but I went to a direct RCA to RCA, which I'm now using. Now, if your amplifier does not have a subwoofer out, you can actually use a speaker output and connect it directly to the subwoofer. So that is pretty cool, and that's going to work for some people. If you do have a sub out, then you just need to use the inputs over here. And you can actually string two subwoofers together because they do have a line out here as well. So what I'm doing is I'm running a mono RCA right into the LFE in port here, and it's working out really well. Now up here is the power indicator light. Right below that is the wireless pairing button, and again, reference my previous video to learn how that works. You do have the volume for the subwoofer here, and I'm usually running it right about at the 12 o'clock position, but of course your environment will determine where you're going to run that. This is the crossover frequency. Now, if you have this all the way counterclockwise, that's going to put it into the LFE mode, and that is what's going to enable you to discover that extended bass when you're watching movies. Now, what it does is it bypasses the crossover that the subwoofer has built in and is using the crossover determined by your own audio equipment. Down below here, this is the phase, and I don't fully comprehend the phase, but I leave it at 0. And again, I'm not an audio engineer, so this is just a little bit over my head here, the phase. But I think most people probably don't need to mess with the phase, and certainly you can reference information that RSL has made available in the user guide to learn more about the phase. This is the auto power switch. You can either have it to on or off, and basically what is happening with that is if it's not detecting a signal, after so many minutes it will power down into sort of a standby mode. My understanding is that it saves you a little bit of energy, but it's not a huge big deal, so I just leave it off. And that is basically the controls on the back here. Now, I don't want to make this a long-winded review because really there's not much else to show you here on the back. But all I can tell you is the speaker for me is working out fantastically, and I think the only thing that could be improved in my system is maybe someday to get a second Mark II 10S Mark II speaker and put that on the other side of my room. Right now I just have this behind a chair in my room, and it is, like I said, working out really well. I can't tell where the subwoofer is. All I know is that all of a sudden I'm just hearing a really nice full sound. And so that's about it. I really highly recommend the speaker. I think this is probably the best value out there in subs, especially if you don't want to spend thousands of dollars. For the price of this speaker, it just blows me away. The construction of it is super solid. It's a solidly built MDF wooden cabinet. It has internal bracing in it. And as far as the subwoofer goes itself, it has a overbuilt aluminum frame. It's got a huge magnet in it. And the excursion of the speaker, I've watched the cone when I'm playing something with a huge amount of bass, and the excursion on this cone is just a sight to be seen. So if you're looking for probably the best value out there, and plus the compact size because it's a 10-inch, this is really, I think, the way to go. RSL 10SMKII. If you've got any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll try to answer it if I can. And if I can't, I'll reach out to RSL and try to get the answer for you. Thanks a lot for watching. We will catch you the next time. Appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you later. Take care.